With the market being in the red right now, this could be a fantastic opportunity to pick up some altcoins at a discounted rate. In this video, we're going to go through several altcoins that I think have fantastic opportunity to get some good upside in the near future and are looking at a pretty good discount right now. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down to the desktop and take a look at these altcoins and see exactly what is going on. Okay guys, so the first coin that we're going to talk about is VeChain. Obviously it's one of the channel favorites here. It has been looking quite interesting. There's a lot kind of going on with this chart. We have been obviously breaking this down for the members on the channel over on Patreon. So basically here we have some big kind of ABCs onto the downside, and inside the ABCs there's obviously more ABC corrections, right? It's basically everything kind of moving in threes at the moment. We're waiting for that big impulsive move, the 1 2 3 4 5, right? But we aren't seeing it just yet. One of the things that we were quite cautious about with VeChain, if you go back to a couple of my videos not too long ago where I was getting out of this particular trade up here, and this is because it was uncertain as to whether or not the market was going to pull back in line with the artificial intelligence and machine learning of advice.io. Okay, it was basically indicating this exact pullback that we have seen. Yet the actual charts were indicating a higher push to the upside. So I was a bit cautious. I was going to exit out of the trade earlier than I was actually expecting. And then we obviously saw the reversal. So that was quite good news for what we were seeing inside the data, and obviously reaffirmed that the AI over at advice.io seemed to obviously be onto something. Now, obviously, that led into this deeper C wave correction. Okay, we pulled this down, and now it did overextend this C wave, and because normally it would have actually finished up here on the support level of 13.9 cents. Now, one of the things that we were really cautious about was making sure that it didn't actually trigger an impulsive move to the downside. And we actually bounced right off of the 1.382 at 12.3 cents and started to get the reversal back up. That was fantastic news because it means that actually this was an ABC correction to the downside. And ultimately, we are not impulsive down, i.e. there's another two waves to come to the downside. That's not looking like the case, but I do still expect volatility here around kind of going sideways, having some more ABC moves. Now, I have obviously drawn on here an ABC to the upside. So this is an interesting thing where in theory we should be pushing for an ABC right now. I would like to get it up into this area here. This is the area where you would get rejection from based on the Fibonacci areas. Okay, so again, this would be basically the 618, 702, 786. This is the area that you're likely, or more probably, likely to get that rejection from. So therefore the A wave is put up here. It could of course fall short. There is resistance at around 15 cents, there's resistance at 14.5 cents, and of course there's resistance at 13. Okay, but this is the most probable area for a bounce. So we're looking to push up, bounce from here, pull back with wave B, and then push up with wave C. So right now this could be an opportunity to get into VeChain at a discounted rate, but we do have to be aware that the artificial intelligence at advice.io is still indicating some hard times ahead. Okay, so we have a B2 rating overall, which is actually relatively neutral for VeChain. The fear and greed index is B2, the AMI-HAD ratio is A2, so basically we've got a neutral fear and greed index, and liquidity hasn't really been affected too much by what's been going on recently, which is pretty good to see. The issue really comes from that Sharpe ratio at a rating of D. This is actually taking a nosedive below that 50-day average, and this is basically your risk-reward ratio. It's saying that the risks outweigh the rewards, and therefore exposure to VeChain right now might not be a good idea. So we have to take that with a pinch of salt, but also take it for what it is. It's basically saying this AI is basically telling us we might not want to be buying up VeChain right now. Okay, but with that being said, when we take a look at the charts, things are actually looking interesting for a good bounce to the upside, even if we do have a deeper correction to come. Okay, we did have an oversold stochastic RSI when I was charting this up, and this is actually now just moving up a little bit with our candles here. So we got some room to grow on this 4-hourly chart. So do expect that to kind of continue, right? It won't be straight lines, there will be volatility in there, but the idea is that we eventually move up towards our bounce and rejection point before pulling back and then moving up again. Okay, so I am still expecting volatility. This is an opportunity to basically trade an area whilst we're in this kind of unknown state. But obviously do be aware, most of these altcoins, including Ethereum, but mainly led by Bitcoin, they are heavily oversold across all the time frames with the exception of the smaller ones, right? And basically what you're seeing here is more and more liquidation things, events kind of going on. And so for VeChain, that's my first altcoin. I think there's an opportunity there to be had. As we come in, we have another altcoin here. This is Multivac, another channel favorite. It's done incredibly well, a hidden gem. If you're not familiar, do some research on Multivac. Now, MTV here obviously has been part of many different corrections, so you can see it all kind of playing out. Now, for MTV, again, we're in that oversold area. We completed this wave C to the downside. This is actually a part of a much bigger play with a big ABC. Okay, so there's lots of little micro movements, as you can see here, but ultimately we are actually referring to a bigger ABC move. Okay, so this gain is an area that we want to be kind of looking at. Now, obviously down here is my buy zone. And if I actually grab hold of this one from a while ago, you can see that we bounced right from it. Okay, so this is an opportunity. Now, this is an area that we've bounced from time and time again. If we actually zoom on back here, you can see that we had a couple of opportunities inside this area of a buy, and then we obviously tap on it and we move up significantly, right? We're coming back down to the same point. Okay, so right now we are bouncing back off of this area of major support. This support line, if I actually go ahead and grab hold of this, just drop that on there, comes in at 1.6 cent. So if we do drop down below 1.6, down to probably the low area I have marked out here at 1.28, that's the opportunity. There is also an upward trend line that we should acknowledge. I don't think we are likely to pull back further than that trend line, and that one comes in at 1.5. Okay, so we have to be aware that there's a lot kind of going on there with Multivac. But again, this is an interesting coin that has a lot going for it. It's all about multi-dimensional sharding, and they've recently launched their mainnet. They've got their staking. Over 3.3 billion out of their circulating supply is already delegated and staked, and the supply is very, very small, less than 4 billion out there in circulating supply, I believe. So again, there's a huge squeeze on the supply, and I do expect, as you know, once that smart contracts get launched, some interesting dApps to get built on this ecosystem. They've obviously got their NFT platform that's gone out live as well, and that's quite doing quite well and thriving in itself. So lots kind of going on with Multivac. I do expect some interesting price discovery in the future, and this is another opportunity to dollar cost average a good position if you're already in Multivac, or get into Multivac at a discounted rate. Okay, but I am still expecting some volatility. Again, we hop over to the advice.io, and again, just to understand what that AI is picking up in the background. Here we have a C1 rating. So basically, it's on the lower scale right now, and we can dive into what is actually going on. Here we have a fear and greed index for Multivac. This is actually a C1. Indicating that there's a lot of fear in the market for MTV, i.e. you could buy that fear if you wanted to. Now, obviously, the Sharpe ratio, very similar to that of VeChain. It's a rating of D. It's below the 50-day average. It hasn't taken as much of a dive as we have seen with VeChain. It is kind of just trading a little bit below that 50-day average, and I do expect this to get a reversal shortly. I do expect more pain before we get better, so I do expect volatility. But if you're looking to dollar cost average a position in a coin that has some pretty good potential, then this is definitely one that you might want to pay attention to. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. advice.io is not offering you financial advice, buy, sell signals, or anything like that. But we are giving you the tools and the information to make your own informed decision, or to go ahead and do some more research. So Multivac is one that I am looking at. I think this is an interesting opportunity. Now, obviously, I'm already fully packed with MTV, but I do know that our audience, our members in Patreon, are interested in continuing to build positions with Multivac. So there's a good buy opportunity here, in my opinion, down between 1.6 and 1.28. This is the opportunity. There is, of course, a trend line. If that holds, we won't actually get a deep correction into this area. We are, of course, looking for a reversal right now, as we are trading at 1.69 at the point of recording this video. Do expect this to kind of push with a big ABC to the upside, and we're avoiding the bigger kind of impulsive move to the downside, which is good. So the overall, this is all corrective. Everything that we're seeing with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these altcoins is all corrective. It's not impulsive. So that's really good to see as well. Okay, that takes us on to the next coin. The next coin, guys, is AGIX. Now, AGIX, if you're not familiar with SingularityNet, it used to have a contract and used to have a coin called AGI. But since they are now building on the Cardano ecosystem and looking to move over from Ethereum, they actually created a new contract. This is the AGIX. Now, there's not a huge amount of information readily available when it comes to AGIX because it's relatively new. The first piece of information I actually have available is from the 2nd of June. Okay, we had good kind of push to the upside. We had the pullback. This here is my buy zone. We actually just dropped below this. Okay, so this is an interesting point to kind of just acknowledge. We are very choppy here. as people do say, and we can see this potentially pulling back down towards our 22.7 cent area. So again, there's a buy opportunity in here. As you can see, that stochastic is looking like it needs to lower down a little bit, and we could be a part of a bigger ABC right now. So for example, here is our A, our B, and we could be looking to complete that C to the downside there. Okay, we would argue that that could be there, and again, there's another ABC to follow, and it's not impulsive, and I'll show you why in a second. So here's your potential ABC move before we actually break to the downside again. And the reason that I say this is not impulsive is if I draw that on, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there will be 4, and then you're looking for a 5. This is not the case because 4 is not allowed to cross wave 1, and that's exactly what has happened there. Okay, so it's not impulsive, it is still corrective, which is good to see. And again, we also have resistance being found up there at 28.4. So again, I am expecting this to continue this downward trend. I'm hitting this area here. Now, advice.io do not cover this particular coin just yet. So until the platform of advice.io covers it, I can't give you any insight from the artificial intelligence. But right now, we are looking actually pretty interesting here. I am expecting a slight pullback, which could be a fantastic opportunity to buy up some AGI. For long-term prospects on this one, guys, this is looking to launch on the Cardano ecosystem. It's going to be bringing artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence to the Cardano ecosystem. And basically, this means that anyone building on Cardano could also basically hook into the AI here as well. They're looking to launch their AI marketplace. There's a whole lot of spin-off companies as well, or spin-off projects from SingularityNet. But ultimately, this is a project that I think you're going to want to do a lot of research on. We've obviously interviewed Dr. Ben Goertzel on the channel, the founder and CEO of SingularityNet. Very insightful, comparing, Ethereum Solidity versus Cardano Haskell, the security elements, the scalability, and the things that he's able to now do on Cardano that he was unable to do on Ethereum, hence the change. But obviously, I do a lot more research on what their use case is, why we think this is a very important project for the future. Okay, and there's a good opportunity here to get in at some discounted rates before we actually start to see a really significant push to the upside over the coming years. I think it's going to do well in this particular bull run, and a $5 range is not, I don't think, unreasonable for everything that they're trying to actually get achieved. And then obviously going into 2025 bull run, I do expect SingularityNet to do incredibly well, which actually then brings me on nicely to the next coin. The next one that I want to talk about, guys, is 𝗕𝗓. Now, 𝗕𝗓 is a spin-off of SingularityNet. This one is incredibly important. If you're not familiar with SingularityDAO, you absolutely have to do some research on it. Now, I don't say this lightly either, guys. It's a very important project for retail investors. Basically, SingularityDAO is your DeFi from an artificial intelligence perspective. It will basically be rebalancing portfolios within what they call dynasets for you, right? So there's no need for you to constantly chase those green candles. Let the AI do it for you. It will understand what's going on at a much deeper level than we humans potentially ever could, and understand what's going on with that underlying data in a very similar way to what advice.io are doing and giving you those ratings. What you're going to get here with SingularityDAO is basically the ability to invest in the dynaset. The dynaset will invest for you, and you'll get a very good yield from it. So I'm super stoked to see those dynasets get launched. Again, this is a spin-off of SingularityNet. It is building on the Cardano ecosystem, and we are going to be able to take advantage of so many things with this platform, be that from a launchpad that's also just gone live. We've seen NewNet, which is another spin-off launch on there recently. I think it sold out in 1.5 minutes, something absolutely daft like that. And also, they got the dynasets, they've got liquidity pools, they've got farming. Basically, there's a lot going on here with this project, and I do think it's going to have some serious price discovery in the future, which brings me into why I think this is a fantastic opportunity. I scoped out this area down here not too long ago, and it was a bit of an ambitious target that we never actually hit. Okay, this was a buy zone. Coming in at $1.57 to $1.85. I thought we were going to hit it earlier, specifically around here, but we never actually got back into it. Instead, we started to get that reversal and the push to the upside. Now we are getting very, very close to potentially triggering this buy zone. This is an interesting zone I do think is going to be coming in soon, that could see us with building a good position in 𝗕𝗓. Now, 𝗕𝗓, I think, has some really good price discovery to come in this particular cycle, but also in the next. And I say this because obviously with the launch of the Plutus application backend on Cardano, you're going to start seeing 𝗕𝗏 Singularity Net launching on the Cardano ecosystem. There's going to be a lot of hype around projects that are launching on the ecosystem, and this particular project has so much going for it. I do expect that this project is going to absolutely soar in terms of value. So those Dynasets, as I said about earlier, is going to be really interesting. I want to get into that. I want to see how they actually perform compared to my own portfolio, etc. So there's lots of testing to be done, but I do think this project is one that's going to be doing really well this year, with just kind of hype and expectation and all that kind of stuff, a bit of FOMO. And then on 2025, I think this is going to be a real good go-to project to really help retail investors solve their issues in terms of balancing portfolios, making sure that they're really profitable overall. So again, a project that I think there's good opportunities in right now, or at least coming in the very near future. That takes us on to the next coin. The next coin, guys, is 𝗕𝗓𝗪. Now, if you are watching the trading video that we did yesterday with Matt, the CEO of advice.io, he actually pulls out 𝗕𝗓𝗪 here because he sees it in a triangle, and a triangle that's about to explode to the upside. And again, it is following the same path as pretty much Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the other altcoins, right? But this is a triangle that's formed on 𝗕𝗓𝗪 that's been identified and looking to push to the upside. Therefore, there was a fantastic buy zone just scoping out at the bottom here. Now, it's still possible that we do drop back a little bit, but we actually hit the trend line exactly as Matt was talking about yesterday, right? His expectation was to come down to the trend line. We hit the trend line. I think that came in like 8.4 cents in that kind of range, and we got the reversal. Now, this was shallow, right? Because we were expecting this to kind of come down to at least 7.7 if it were to marry up with wave A. So wave C is shorter and we're getting that reversal. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not we actually pull back down to that 7.7 zone, or whether or not this actually was the buy zone to be had. Now, we've just left the buy zone here technically, but there's still room to grow, as you can see from the stochastic RSI. But ultimately, yeah, 8.9 to 7.7, that's the area I think there's an opportunity to get in. This being said, we still expect volatility with 𝗕𝗓𝗪, and as a result, we do expect a good push to the upside. We would look to basically exit the trade and potentially buy back later, or let this one ride now until the top, because this seems to be a pretty good corrective move. And when we do actually bring back to the next level, when we pull it back down or part of the triangle, completing wave E, then actually that's actually a lower or a higher low than we are right now. So even buying it in at this point and hodling it way through actually seems like a pretty good thing to be doing as well. Obviously not financial advice, but it does seem to be what happens when you follow this particular pattern time and time again. So again, interesting stuff going on here. Really hit that support line, and I think 𝗕𝗓𝗪 has some interesting times ahead, along with the rest of the crypto market. So guys, those are the altcoins that I think are really interesting right now out of our portfolio, that look like they're in pretty good positions to actually start accumulating. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.